Okay, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep, so came back down here to fiddle with the car a little bit. This video is going to be about, I'm going to talk about race night. You guys just seen the first half of the race night of Street Wars. And I'm going to respond to a couple things that were asked. And I'm going to address the Monty Smith video and throw a little bit of life story shit off in here. When I was racing Reaper and No Prep racing it before the TV show, you know, we had 10,000 people that followed the page, and at the time I'm thinking, man, you know, that's pretty cool. 10,000 people actually like that car. One of them I think the majority of them are still on here. Even, you know, when the page was at like 10,000, it got hacked and we had to start all over. 30,000 or 40,000. No, I think it was like 40, 50,000. We had to start all back over. I almost folded the page then because I was so pissed that somebody hacked it. But guys, I'm 53 years old. I've always been a very, very private person. And Stacy asked me one time when I started doing my life story videos, she said, "Why are you doing that?" And I told her, and this is honestly how I felt about it then and how I feel about it now. If I'm gonna do social media, if I'm gonna have people following what I do, and I wanna do cool shit, and you know, maybe some of these guys pick up some of the stuff, because I'm self-taught at everything I've ever done. My dad was one of the baddest ass painters ever on the planet. He was a badass mechanic, but the truth of the matter is he made me learn everything the hard way, the hard way. Building a turbo 350 transmission for my Trans Am one time. And when I get home from school, guys, I get off the bus, I'd walk through the kitchen, grab a sandwich, and I was straight out in that shop with my dad. Even when my dad wasn't there, I was out in that shop until I went to bed at 10, 11, 12 o'clock, till Mom made me come in and go to bed. So when I'm building this transmission for my Trans Am, I would get to a certain point, I'd stay up, I stayed up all night, and I got this thing done. And the next day I go back out there, when I got off the bus, came home from school, I look over and there's the fucking thrust washer sitting there on the bench where I had everything laid out. And I'm like, damn, forgot the thrust washer. So of course it was down in the low and reverse drum. I tore this thing all the way back apart. It was in there. So I put it all back together. The next day I come home from school and I'm looking on and I'm fixing to put it in my car, and I look over and I see a C-clip, or a C-clip that actually locked the intermediate shaft into the drum. And I'm like, shit, how did I do that? So I tear this thing all back apart. That happened 3 times. Finally, I decided, I double checked everything on the bench. I made sure everything was gone. When I come back the 4th time, I actually didn't go back out in the shop until I came home from school. I went out in the shop, came back in, acted like I was going to bed, caught my dad going out there, reached down the transmission parts and grabbing something out of it and laying it on the bench. I said, "Really, Dad? Seriously? You know you've done that every time. I've took that transmission back apart 3 times. And I said, you think that's funny, Dad? That's not funny." He said, "Son, if you paid attention and you knew you'd done it right, then you never should have second guessed yourself." My dad was a hard man, but I learned a lot of things the hard way. And I think I know that's what made me the man I am today. I don't give up, I don't stop, I don't quit. But when Stacy asked me, she goes, "Are you sure you want to put all that out there? Your life story, the trial, all that?" I said, "Stacy, if I'm gonna do this, if we're gonna do this, and we're gonna ask these people to follow us and watch what we do and all that, then we gotta put it out there. You know, if we're gonna be a public figure, then we gotta accept that and we put shit out there, good, bad, or indifferent. And that's how I've always ran this page, guys. And, you know, I was on and off. You see there's a big gap in those videos because, honestly, I didn't know, you know, another thing that my dad always taught us, every one of us boys, he said, you don't show weakness. You show you're weak, they'll get you every time. You don't be weak, you don't show emotion. Matter of fact, my dad told me one time, my first wife was the first woman I ever fell in love with. And I told her I loved her 10 times a day, guys, and that's no bullshit. And one day, this is how much influence my dad had over me. One day, I mean, we held hands everywhere we went. I didn't care about public PDA, public display of affection. I treated her like a queen until my dad one day made the comment. He said, boy, he said, well, you run after that little old guy? He said, you're just plumb pussy whooped. He said, you need to be a man. You don't do that shit. Guys, this is no kidding. This is no joke. This is exactly what I did. That hit me so hard that my dad thought I was a pussy that I went and she lived with us at the time. I lived with my dad. I mean, she was there. We were fixed to have I don't know if we'd already had Jennifer, my daughter, or if, I don't remember. But I went back to the bedroom and I told her, I said, Mona, I'm going to tell you right now that I love you. And if anything changes, you'll be the first one to know. I did not tell her I loved her again for years, guys, until after I got back out of prison. That's how much influence my dad had on me and how I always wanted to be. I wanted to be like my dad. When I went to prison, I figured out that maybe that wasn't the best thing to want to be. But my dad was a hard man. But I will say, the one thing that he did, he loved his 4 boys more than anything else in the world. And this is no bullshit. We had this rivalry going on about collecting big blocks and all this stuff. And any one of you guys, if my dad met you and you needed an 850 carburetor, he'd say, yeah, there's one right over there. Go ahead, take it. If I said, hey, Dad, I need a carburetor for my car, fuck you, go find your own. He was hard on me. But he also made me appreciate a lot of things. And looking back, I see that he didn't do it because he was trying to be mean. He wanted to, it was his idea to toughen me up for the future. Well, he was wrong. I tried to keep I tried to correct my mistakes with my first 2 kids with Brantley. You guys know Brantley's my grandson, but I've had him since he's 4 or 5 months old, and I'm the only dad he knows. But like I told Stacy, you know, if we're gonna do this, I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm gonna put everything out there, because no matter what, I'm not gonna be a liar. I'm not gonna hide nothing. I'm gonna say what I want, when I want. I'm gonna run this page the way I want to do it. So I told her to release those videos, and I didn't realize how bad that last part was, guys, till I just sat down and watched it. And just for a second, it blipped through my mind, why'd you post that? And then I thought about something. I have said it 100 times on here. I'll say it 1,000 times more before I fade out and disappear off into the sunset. You guys are the most die-hard loyal fans that anybody could ever ask for. And if I can't show what Monty meant to me, to you guys, then I'm as fake as every other motherfucker out there that does this shit. That's one way on the camera or one way on social media, totally different fucking person when you meet them in real life. And I mean, it literally went through my head that quick. I shouldn't have done this, and then I thought, no, I should have done it. Because that mentality was the same thing that was instilled in me when I was a kid. Now, my dad did he did what he thought was right, and there's a lot of qualities in my dad that that's made me the man I am today. He never broke his word. He always did what he said he was going to do. He never gave up. And I think I've told you guys the story of why I stuck with my dad as long as I did, and And you know what? I'll tell you the story real quick, in case some of you that's new to the page don't know. When I was 10 years old, 1979, and my dad and I were working on this Volkswagen Bug that had a cut down the chassis out of a 55 Chevrolet, had a small block in it, and we were going to go to the salvage yard and buy the metal to do the floor pans in, to do the floor. And my mom's car wouldn't start, and she was a manager at Walmart, and my dad turns around and tells her, well, come on. He said, I'll just give you a ride. So, and he jumps on his motorcycle. And I was going, hey, but Dad, we're going to go to the salvage yard. He goes, no, I'm going to take your mom to work. He said, we'll go to the salvage yard later. I was so mad. And I'm 10 years old, guys. I was so mad that I sit there, and when he drove away, I said, I hate you. I wish you were dead. My dad got hit head on in his lane on his motorcycle. Paralyzed from the chest down. So the next time I seen my dad, he was in ICU fighting for his life. So even though I know now, it's just a dumb kid thing. Every kid said it about his parents, but that haunted me. That haunted me my whole life. I never would let anybody get close to my dad. I would never let, because he walked, I mean, my dad's a man's man. It crushed his back, crushed his left leg, and when they asked him at the hospital, they told him, you need to pick out a wheelchair, and he said, I don't need a wheelchair, I'm walking out of here. And the doctor told him, he said, Mr. Goad, your spinal column's been broke. We've had to fuse it together with Harrington rods. Your left leg was crushed. It's all built back with pins. He said, Mr. Goad, you are never going to walk again, and you need to accept that fact. And this is no shit, guys. That's what my dad said. He goes, Doc, you a betting man? And he goes, no, not really. He goes, that's a good thing, because I tell you what, I'll bet you right now I'll walk out of this hospital, and you bet with me I'm getting in your ass pocket, and I'm getting in your ass pocket deep, Doc. I will walk out of here. My dad went down to that gym every day and worked out, building his upper body. My dad, when he was in, I mean, guys, he was in the hospital total almost 2 years. And he was down there. My dad was, I mean, he's down there and he's working out. He's sitting in that wheelchair and he's working out, getting his upper body strength. And my dad, I'm built like my dad. But my dad was, I mean, 20-inch arms, chest, huge chest. And my dad walked out of Hillcrest Medical Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He walked out on canes. Actually, there were arm crutches. He walked out on those crutches. Funny thing is, he got mad one time, told me, and had a friend of his take his, you guys have heard, I want to find me a little 65 big back glass short bed pickup to recreate the truck that my dad had, the truck that got me started in this, that, you know, just, I've got the motor, I've got everything just like he had it set aside as soon as I find the right truck. But it's got to be a 65 or 66, it's got to be a big back glass, it's got to be a double chrome, it's got to be the exact truck so I can copy that truck one day, and I will do it one day. But he had a friend of his bring his truck up to Hillcrest, and because he went to go somewhere and my mom was working and he couldn't go to the store or something, and my dad literally took off from the hospital one time, cut him up, had a piece of wood about that long, and drove his truck with a piece of wood home, which was, we lived at Locust Grove. No, we lived in maybe it was or Pryor. Yeah, we lived in Pryor. From Tulsa to Pryor, my dad drove his truck with a stick and came home because he wanted to come home. He was a man's man. I mean, he really was. Did he have his faults? Sure. When he got off into the shit that I got off into it because I felt like it was my fault my dad was like that, so I had to protect him. So I did some bad things, guys. I mean, I did some really bad fucking things. Somebody owed my dad money. I had no problem putting a gun on him, putting him on the ground, because I was going to make right what I said that day when I was 10 years old. My dad never even knew that story till after I got out of prison. And when I went out to see him, I told him that story, and he said, boy, That wasn't your fault. You had nothing to do with it. I said, I know that now, Dad. But I'm telling you, that's why I've never left your side all these years. So, I learned a lot of things from him. I learned some bad things. I learned some good things. But my dad never lied. My dad, if my dad told you something, he kept his word no matter what. That's one of the qualities I have that I live by. So, the not showing emotion and all of that, to a big point, I try to maintain that. But when it comes to this page, when it comes to you guys, that just like me asking you to go to these other, and we're going to be giving some more stuff away this week. But, you know, all those people that help us out, they were just so ecstatic that you guys are going over there. You're sharing those videos and stuff. And the day that I can't be 100% honest and real with all of you guys, you'll know it, because I'll shut this page down and you guys will never see me on a TV show. You'll never see me at a racetrack. And you'll never see me on social media again. I'm just being real about it. And once again, I'm glad she did post a video. I read you guys' comments. I appreciate the words. We're going to have a little update on the Monty Smith car later this week, because a guy stepped up and said, hey man, you know, he come to help me with, you know, trying to get some of this stuff, that MPK car. I'm going to stick the motor in it today, start putting it all back together so we can put it on the scale, see if I got to move the turbos. Another friend of mine, he came down from Iowa. He's working on the Nova. I've been trying to wrap some stuff up on this just so I could get it to a point while I'm waiting on parts that I go back kind of. Plus, ADHD kicks in and it's good for me to jump back and forth. But when he come down, he said, what do you want help with? And when he seen the Monty Smith car, he said, let me do that car. Let me button the rest of that car up. And it's really close, guys. It's really close. But you guys will meet him probably sometime this week. I'll introduce him. He's got a shop. Really, really cool guy. So, I just thought I'd throw that out there after watching that video. Kind of give you guys an idea. I try to keep these videos short for you guys to stay with them. But that's the other thing. There's a lot of you that watch these videos all the way to the end. And you guys are the reason I do this shit, honestly. Because the support and the things that you guys say, and when I ask you guys to share videos, shares go through the roof. I ask you guys to go help support these people that help us, and you guys do it. I owe you guys. I'll keep doing these videos till the day that I can't be real with you. Appreciate everything you guys do. Appreciate you following the page. Appreciate you liking the videos, sharing the videos, and I especially appreciate the good things that you guys have said to the people that help us do what I do.